We got one of the best factions on topic today with one of the most building up and coming raid content creators. So let's jump into it. What's up, guys? MtgJedi here. How you doing today? Very excited for another installment of this 2023 faction breakdown series. We have my dude Odd One Gaming on the channel for the first time. How you doing today, my dude?
Hello. I'm doing good, my friend. Doing good. Slowly waking up because I'm a late morning person, but yeah, I'm good. How are you today?
Yeah, doing really good. You know me, I get up very early, so we're
Yeah.
rocking and rolling early in the morning over on this side of the ocean.
You
Uh,
shock me with your early times. You shock me. It's
yeah,
like that's
it's
the time I go to sleep in my time, at least.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. Well, it used to be different. I used to be a night owl, staying up all hours of the night, and then
yeah.
COVID hit, and my body was like, "Nope. Do you know you go to bed early now?" So it is just what
Oh,
it is, and I do my
yeah.
recording super early. So,
True.
what's going on your channel? Anything interesting that we want to share with the viewers at the beginning here?
I mean, honestly, it's I guess the best or the most important thing that's happening is I'm trying to push really hard to get myself to the tier 3 content creator program to get access to test server. I'm like 600 subs away from hitting that 8,000 subs mark, and I'm trying to push really hard, and hopefully I'm gonna get that by my birthday, which is next month on the 16th of May. So that's the biggest thing that's happening on my channel. Apart
All
from that,
right. Well, happy early birthday and Jedi
thank you.
Academy. Let's unite. We got Mullet Reaver last week over his 1,000 subs to get monetized on YouTube. Let's get Odd One to 8K so he can get in the test server as well. So go over, make sure
Thank
you
you.
check out his channel. We will be doing a collab as well on his channel, so make sure you check
Yeah.
out that video. We got some spicy topics over there. But for today, let's jump into Dark Elves and talk about our favorite champions. Who you got on the favorite champions list for this faction?
I mean, honestly, this one's kind of a stacked one. It's a really
Yes.
stacked one.
Yes.
We look at the legendaries, there's tons. Even though I only have like half of them, there's so many good ones. You could mention the Lydia, you can mention Mithrala, you could mention Zavia, Marnix. There's so many in here. But honestly, I guess my favorite one is I would call out Ghostborn. Like,
Okay.
and unfortunately, you don't have him. The reason why I
Nope.
like Ghostborn so much is because I like when I do my dungeon teams, I like to have consistent teams. Like I want to have them as close to 100% as possible, and if possible, I like to have them 100%. And Ghostborn, because of his A3 over there, it makes it the easiest to make it consistent. Unless you're facing obviously Magic Affinity, where he can weak hit that A3, even if you have zero accuracy, he's gonna always land that decreased defense. And especially if you have if you have a seer team like I have on my account, having him to place that consistently, plus bring the increased attack as another buff for Seer to rip off, just makes it amazing. Then he also has decreased defense on the A1. He also has AoE heal reduction. So it's kind of like nothing too crazy on his kit, but it's just perfect, at least for mid, late, end game when you're trying to get consistent dungeon speed runs. And fun
Yeah,
enough,
absolutely.
I'm even using him on my hard Spider 10, which I just made like a video a few days ago about. And it's just awesome, especially because he also has fast animations. This
Yeah,
game we
very
play so
true.
much. We play it so much. We're trying to get everything to be as consistent and as fast as possible. So that's why I really like Ghostbone.
Yeah, he's got actually good multipliers too. If you want to build him for damage, he does good damage. I still have never opened a Ghostborn. I don't think
Uh,
I've opened a Ghostborn for a viewer or on any account that I've ever played on. So that's
yeah, he's kind of rare. Not gonna lie, I don't see him like
yeah.
as often pulled, but he's really good. He's really
Yeah.
good.
I'm going to give a shout out to one of my OG legendary champions, and that's going to be Ray. Ray carried me on my first account for so long with the AoEs on all three attacks. She has the buff
Yeah.
removal on the A3 and really good multipliers on all three, but particularly good multipliers on the A2. If you're using her as a wave clearer also in your progression, she has that speed aura for dungeons, good multipliers. She can campaign farm, just like a really good old school champion. I
Yeah.
absolutely love her. One of the great things about this faction too is how free to play friendly it is. You know, I know
Yes.
you mentioned Lydia Mithrala. We can throw Vizix in there as well.
Yes.
I don't think you're going to need Marinix by the time you get her, but if you get her early by accident, you know, that's
Mm.
another champion you're definitely going to get. And then, of course, we have the epics that are free to play friendly as well, like Dark Kale down here and Rian the Conjurer, which I'm sure we'll get more into in a minute. But I love this
Yeah.
faction for so many players because the champions that you get automatically from this faction are so super good. So if you had to
Yeah.
rate those champions that I just mentioned between Marinix, Vizix, Mithrala, Lydia, Dark Kale, and Rian, we'll put you
Mm.
on the spot.
Oh
Of
God.
those free-to-play champions, which one do you think is the best, most impactful for your account?
Oh my God. I mean, even though they're, like I said, you know, you have legendaries and epics. Epics are pretty amazing. Dark Elves pretty amazing, but I feel like it has to be one of the legendaries. But
Okay.
this is a problem for me. It's I cannot decide as easily because it's gonna be between Lydia and Mithrala. It just I guess it all usually depends on the account, you know. It depends on what you already have on your account and what you need. If you don't have a good enough, like for example, if you don't have a Draco, Venus, Bellanor, then Lydia's gonna be the call because having an AoE decreased defense and we can champion her plus the buffs that she brings makes her amazing. But at the same time, you have Mithrala that brings, you know, she basically enables all the hard dungeons to be easy. Poisons on the A1, all the buffs in the world on the A2 and the A3. She brings you the accuracy lead as well, that amazing passive. So it's, I don't know. I think, you know what, let's go with Mithrala. I think I'm gonna go with Mithrala because from my point of view and from what I've tested, I feel like people can now get me, if they focus it, obviously, can get Mithrala faster than Lydia.
I think so too, and I was actually going to say that. On my free to play account, I want to say I have a handful of fragments already. I
Yeah.
think I've gotten 2 or 3 chests. So
Mm-hmm.
you can get Mithrala fairly early. I think
Yeah.
probably before Lydia, but I'm interested to see that. I'm pretty committed
Yeah.
to playing my new free to play account until I get Lydia at least. And so I'm going to track that to see who I get first. I
Yeah.
was going to say Lydia though, so I'm glad that you said
Yeah.
Mithrala, but it's really a coin toss, okay?
Yeah.
Lydia is so worth pushing for. Like all of these these faction breakdown videos in this series is really the whole point is getting Lydia. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
tell people when they're struggling with faction wars, push through because she is so worth it. You know,
Yeah.
like the decreased defense and weaken and strengthen buff and increase speed buff on an ability is just not comparable to any other champion. It really is
Exactly.
not. And what she enables in this game is insane. And it pairs really well with her poison sensitivity, block buffs, block active skill, and then the fear on her A1 that can like lock down people in waves or in arena. I mean, and obviously her passive is insane as well. So if you're
Yeah.
contemplating how much should you invest into faction wars, the answer is everything.
Everything. Yes. All in. And the
Everything.
funny thing is, between them, between Lydia and Mithrala, they actually bring, apart from like the strengthen, they bring different buffs and
Yep.
debuffs.
Yeah,
So
so they
paired
pair really
together,
well together.
not just for the faction wars, but for everything.
Yeah.
They're just beasts, you know. The only thing that, again, going back to when I talked about the Ghostborn, they're not the best for endgame for speed running because animations, but for consistency and for like your reliability, it's like they're just they would be a monster duo in any team. Like if you have them together, I feel like you don't need any reviver. Just
Yeah.
bring them together and bring some nukers along and you're good. You're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And I can't, not have this discussion without talking about Vizix as well. And at this
Yeah.
point in the game, I feel like she's underrated. You know, I can't tell you how many takeovers I do where I recommend people use Vizix. Multiple times just yesterday, I did
Yeah.
2 takeovers yesterday, and in both of them, I recommended Vizix. For Doom Tower Waves to combine with Seer, she's great. And also for 3v3, because that
Yeah.
same build goes both places. You speed tune her with your Arbiter to come in and do the AoE provoke, and then you just don't allow the other team any kind of turns because they're provoked. And just her kit is so good with the ally protection, decreased speed, and then the turn meter on the A1, which we never get anymore. Just still a really good champion. Definitely worth waiting for on the login rewards as well. Still holds up to this day. Who else do you like in the faction here that you want to talk about?
I mean, I was gonna mention Vizix myself because I also believe this faction has one of the most the most underrated legendaries and champions in general. Because, like, again, Vizix, as you mentioned, she's extremely underrated. I think it's also because of the ratings. Like, honestly, this champion should have all green. All the ratings for her should be all green. And the thing is, she's so good for, like you mentioned, she's good for arena. She's good for early on to bring you the provokes, the terminator controls. After that, she can specialize in Hydra. Like, I'm endgame account. I have everything I want on my account. I still use her in my hard Hydra team because, like you said, she brings the provoke, but she brings the AoE decreased speed as well, which are two amazing debuffs for Hydra. So definitely people should not sleep on her, and she can hit extremely hard. If you want to make her a nuker, she can hit hard.
Yeah.
So she's not so versatile. But then there's another one that honestly I feel like he might be like top 5 most underrated legendaries in the game.
Okay.
And that's Ruel the Huntsmaster.
Okay.
I made so many videos on him.
I'm one of those guys who probably underrates him, so you're gonna have to convince me. I'm on the opposite side of the fence, so I'll hear you out.
Okay, so I'm not sure exactly how he goes compared to the newest legendaries released, like the Hefrax, the Georgians, all the crazy ones. But like 6 months, a year ago, when I was doing lots of videos on him, it was pretty simple. If you don't have a Seer, or if you don't have the AoE poison explosions, Theodore, Zavia, Eleanor, he's your next best thing for wave clear. He had, not sure if it's still up there, the A2 is the hardest hitting nuke in the game. Like, if there's Hex out there, after Lydia, he hits the hardest. Seer, he hit the hardest. Like, this one can just one-shot the waves. And the beauty about this is, like, he has the A3 that he can just come back to it pretty fast. Or if you don't have any other hexer, he can do this one himself, boost his turn meter, and then go straight into the A2. He's just amazing, and people sleep on him for an actual nuker. Actually, talking about takeovers, I built for something funny. I built a 3v3 team, and he did not have like the perfect nuker for his third team. So what I did is I built a Stone Skin Ruel to go alongside a Mithrala that puts the hex, and he was just the nuker in there, Obviously, if you get stripped, he's gonna die because he's kind of squishy.
Yeah.
But for a backup nuker, he was the nuker. With Mithrala, I think I added like 2 revivers in there. And I did test it a bit, and it was pretty fun. There was some pretty fun results.
He's got a really high base attack. I never noticed that.
It's insane. He
one of the highest in the game.
Fun. Yeah, I think the highest one is Bystafus with 1700.
Yeah. I'm going to have to remember that because people have been asking me, what do I do if I don't have Seer and Zavia? And, Ruel's a great option there. Let's actually lead into that and talk about Zavia as well.
Yeah.
Do you think she's still viable with now this push for hard mode dungeons? Or you think people kind of getting away from her now?
I think for hard dungeons, she might still be good. Because when you try to push to hard mode dungeons, you try to get to stage 10, and those are always void. But she used to be a little bit less good than Eleanor because her A2, her A3, the poison explosion, if it weak hits, it doesn't explode.
Right.
But compared to Eleanor, she does, I think, 20% more damage from poisons than Eleanor, plus she adds the hit. She has the damage itself.
Yeah.
And also, obviously, poisons on the A2, triple hit A1. She's still amazing. don't have her. I have no AoE poison exploders on my main account. Oh, wow. And I have all the Battle Khazars, Tomb Lord, Richthof, Tauruses, Calvalax. Everyone.
Oh man.
Just don't have an AoE poison exploder.
I'd be saving for a 10x for her. Yeah, she's amazing. I used her
Yeah.
in all my teams before the hard dungeons came out. And she, fun fact, is one of the champions. I love her art, like her model, like
Yeah.
so much in the game. It makes me so happy. I think even if she's a little bit less meta right now, you can't not talk about her. She's still amazing,
She
especially for
is true.
people who are not doing hard dungeons. If you're still doing 20 or 25, man, she's great. And, the don't underestimate enemies can't be revived here,
Exactly.
because in arena, she can nuke for you. She's not the best now, but like
True.
that block revive, man, that's tough stuff.
Yeah, that can be good even in like for example, Ice Golem. If you want to go and block
Yeah.
revive those ads so the boss doesn't kill you, because he
Yeah,
keeps
exactly.
reviving and hitting, can be pretty amazing with that. That's for sure.
Exactly. So let's do just like a little bit quick fire here. Um, are there, well, you know what? Before that, I always like to talk about any kind of like trap champions or unusable champions. Being that this is one of the best factions in the game, do you think that there's any trap champions here to build? Like, are we gonna waste resources building any legendaries or epics from this faction?
I mean, I'm not sure if they're trap themselves, because their kit. Actually, the biggest trap might be Altan. Altan of the Shell. He seems like he might be good, but in my opinion, he's just useless. I cannot see, not even on my free to play. I have it on my free to play. I've not built this champ. He's
Yeah.
a level 50 faction war champions. It's everything just predicated on this, on that, on this. So if you
Yeah.
don't have any of the conditions met, he's just a A1 hitter.
Yeah,
So
the
why would
only
I
nice
invest
thing
in him?
about him is that the books don't impact the percentages. Like this is a hundred
Yeah,
percent, 100% chance for sleep. Not that so there is a nice thing where the books are not that impactful, but I
true.
100% agree. Like you would be building him for damage. He's not the best damage dealer. That's a
Exactly.
good call out.
And sleep is not the best CC in
Yeah,
the game. Like you
yeah.
get a poison, that's it, or an HP button, it's useless.
Yeah. For me, I think that one of the trap champions is going to be Blind Seer. And it's not because she's bad. She's by
Hmm.
far not bad at all. I would rate her as one of the lowest Void legendaries.
Yeah.
And she's nice because she has the AoE revive, like full team revive,
True.
block damage for one turn. But she revives everybody with 35% HP, which is so low.
Yeah.
And she does put shields on everybody, and she does have a triple hitter on her A1, and all of that seems great. But for a legendary champion with that kit, you just want more. And you'll end
Yeah.
up putting her in your vault eventually. So I recommend just keeping her at level 50 and not using your books on her unless you're desperate. But even like the Scylla the Drakes that you get automatically is going to be better than her, in my opinion. So I don't recommend investing in a Blind Seer unless you have a specific purpose. But maybe people are
I
going to
can
tell me
tell you
different in the
I
comments.
can tell you one purpose for her.
Okay.
You go back into her kit, she can bring one thing. Again, it depends what you need on your account.
Mm-hmm.
If you need somebody on your account that brings block debuffs on a 3-turn cooldown for 2 turns, she can be your champion.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the purpose for her. So it's
Okay.
like, if you're missing that person to make your clan boss team be affinity friendly, she can bring that. But yes, compared to
Interesting.
other void legendary champions, she's nowhere near as good. Like
Right.
for progression, she can be got it. If she's your first void legendary, I would say yes, instantly max her out. She's gonna help you, A revives, whatever. But once you're getting to like the late end game, she's gonna be, like you said, she goes in the vault. Not much. Even though she has crazy speed, 115 base speed.
Yeah.
It's just she's missing that little bit of that little bit of oomph, a little bit of something in there.
Yeah. I agree. I would love to see her buffed, Like
Yeah,
here's what we need to do to get her buffed. Takes an extra turn after they are revived.
yeah.
That would be
Or
great.
revived and they're I don't know, give another another buff in there or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
or like as Hell Hades says, give her an awesome passive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give her an
100%
awesome
agree.
passive in there, something, and she could be crazy.
Yeah. No, we're not going to have time to talk about every single legendary, but like
Yeah, that's
Foley
true.
still has good multipliers.
True.
Vizier is crazy for the buff extends. So just because we don't mention every single champion here doesn't mean that they're not good. But of
Yeah.
course, let us know in the comments below who we're undervaluing or who we missed. We'd love to hear from you there as well. As far as traps, I am really going to throw Crimson Helm under the bus. I despise this champion. And I
Yeah.
know that some people have a love affair with her because she's their only way to beat Bommel. When she was my only way to beat Bommel, I built her and then I put her in my vault because I'm not
Yeah.
willing to 30-minute manual a fight. I don't care how often it is. I'm not willing to do it. So I think that most people are also going to not be willing to do that. So I think she's a trap. I would not build her. But she's definitely not the worst. Like
Yeah.
like
There's Warden. There's
Warden
Warden
and
if you have the Warden.
Delver are both really bad. So
Delver at least can bring you the AoE decrease defense, but if you already have a Lydia, don't care, you know.
yeah, you're not wrong, but hopefully most people have Madame Saris or
Yeah, Fang
really
Cleric is another trap that's extremely bad.
who is?
Like the Fang Cleric, the next one
Fang
after Delver. It's like he just brings a basic revive and
Yeah.
nothing else is good. So it's like,
Yeah.
just don't build that guy. Just
Yeah, you don't
keep
really
it to
need a
40.
reviver for this faction, so I 100% agree with you. You're going to regret building him as well. And one of
Yeah.
the reasons why is because some of the rares are so good, right? So
True.
out of the rares, who do you like for Faction Wars and for other content in the game?
I mean, obviously, he has to be the god and the best rare in the game, in my opinion. That's Cold Heart.
No, I totally agree.
She's everywhere. She's in my faction war team. She's in some of my Doomtar bosses team. She was in my spider team. Obviously now because Heart Spider has changed, I have a different team. But she is still viable. She's the only. I think I can hands down say she's the only rare in the game that's viable from early to end game, unless we're talking secret rooms. Then if we're talking secret rooms, then yeah, there's plenty of rares that are gonna help. But for the sake of all around viability, if you pull her like day one, or if you pull her after 3 years of playing, Cold Heart is gonna be a god, and you're still gonna use her. You're still gonna build her, still gonna max her. She's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think number 2 that goes along with that is going to be Painkeeper.
Yes.
Eventually, you're going to find a use for a Painkeeper, so I love 6-starring her, and she's one of the only champions in the faction that has a decent heal. And so, because she's so usable in a lot of different ways, I recommend building her, and then of course she can decrease the cooldown of your other ally skills, even if it's just one turn. That helps you cycle through everything, So I love having a Cold Heart and a Painkeeper on my faction war team, like for everyone. And then if you have a Kale, you can use him, but those are really the 2 rares that I rely on. I think.
And
go ahead.
Painkeeper, like you said, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
She's one that I've done so many, like you said, faction war takeovers that I just took their clan boss Painkeeper from the Bat Eater.
Yep.
I put her in a relentless, decent speed, high HP, and I could finish their faction wars without having any reviver.
Yep.
If she moves fast enough, she can bring some massive heals, especially because they're based on her max HP. And she has a pretty good base HP. 19,000. And she's like, people should not sleep on her. Like, for faction wars, just keep her to 50, for example. Give her decent speed, some HP, and she can be amazing. She can be, you don't need to revive her if you play around correct with her.
Totally agree. I like Judge late game, but you're not going to build him for your faction war. I don't recommend 6-starring a Spirit Host. Paragon is not good for faction wars. And if you have Kale, he can go on the team. But those other rares, that's a no-go.
That's true. It's like, you might use them on certain specific stuff, but not 6-star. Definitely not viable 6-star champions.
Pick out an epic or two that you think would really be helpful for faction war teams, and let's talk about those.
Okay, so I guess one of the ones that can be extremely good is Psylar.
Ah, you
Like
stole
Psylar is
it.
just a goddess. She's just a goddess for turn meter control. That A3 that pushes back 40% of turn meter, plus placing decreased speed. Like this one's so good. I mean, maybe now it's shifted with the current meta of the stone skin and all that, but
Yeah.
that one just places.
Yeah.
That one just places. You don't need to hit. This can work amazing as like she can be your second champion after Arbiter.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're facing Stone Skin, it's a problem. If you're facing immunity, it's still fine because turn meter goes through immunity, doesn't go through Stone Skin. So
Okay.
maybe she was a little bit power crapped with the Stone Skin, but still, for Doom Tower, for Faction War, she just can't keep that controlled. And apart from her A3, she just has double AoEs on the A2 and the A1. You put her in a stun set, you know, fast with decent accuracy, she's gonna just keep those waves locked out.
Yeah, 100% agree. I love Sylar, especially for Faction Wars, but she can definitely play in other areas of the game. I guess I'll call out Caden here. Like, if you want a reviver, I think he's, like, the best option for the faction. He only revives 2 allies, but most of the time that's all you need anyway. But he gets them with 50% HP and increased defense, so they're way more survivable.
Yeah.
And then I love the AoE decrease attack, and then he has a chance to provoke on his A1 as well.
True.
So his kit is really well set up to help you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He can be really. I used Caden on my faction war team to beat 21 back in the day.
Yep, me too.
So that definitely helped. And again, if we want to talk about a couple of underrated ones, this one has again 2 underrated epics in my opinion.
Okay.
Number 1 being Spider.
Really?
Like he brings, like Spider brings an amazing speed lead for dungeons. If you look, 25%. And then that A3, yes, it's on a high cooldown, but it's AoE decreased defense and a chance to place AoE weaken without hitting. Straight up places. He can be amazing. Brings an AoE decreased attack as well, and decrease the duration of all the buffs on the A2, and then the A1 just a chance to, you know, remove a random buff. So I feel like he's definitely underrated. I think honestly, like I said, mostly because the A3 is on a 5-turn cooldown after book. If he was buffed and that was made on a 4-turn cooldown, I would 100% believe he would see more playtime.
Totally agree. And obviously,
another one.
Go ahead. No, yeah, keep going.
I keep interrupting. I'm taking all the flame.
No, you're good.
Another one, but this might just be, you know, I might just see something different. That's Visionary.
Okay.
But she might be one that's like, you know, if you got her late game, you will not build her. If you got her early mid game, she could be amazing again for everything, for dungeons, for arena. Like she brings increased crit rate, crit damage, and turn meter boost on the A3 that goes on a 3-turn cooldown. On the A2, AoE hit that puts decreased crit rate, decreased crit damage again on a 3-turn cooldown. Then on the A1, she has a chance to decrease the turn meter. Also, this chance increases to 100%. So she can be a turn meter pushback. And again, the speed lead, 24% in dungeons.
Yeah,
so I feel like she could be really amazing for this one. You know, if you pair her with your nuker has 30, and you can use her in arena, the same build.
Yeah.
You know, she would not be your fastest. She would be your second fastest in arena. Let's say you have an arbiter and you have her. In arena, you run arbiter lead. In dungeons, you run her lead. Arbiter fastest, visionary speed tuned into her. Your nuker can always be at 30%. 70% crit rate, always has increased attack, has increased crit rate, crit damage. She can be really viable with that.
Yeah. Good suggestion, man. Good suggestion. Just a couple other things to wrap up this section here. I like Dirindil, got good multipliers there. I love Saris, obviously. She's amazing because with the buff strip, decrease attack, decrease defense. But I don't really care for Luria and Lua. Some people will fight me on that because they love her for damage, but both of them. But I think that neither of those are worth building. If you want to build a damage dealer that's an epic, I would go Dirindil or I would skip it.
I would argue Luria because she can also bring that freeze. That's why.
Okay.
She can bring the AoE freeze and also again block revive. Revive. I know I've had her built on her account a while. Like, you know, when she did the faction wars, she was good for Ice Golem. So, you know, Lua, I understand, but Luria, I would argue. Luria's
Okay.
would be worth it.
No, I like
to
if you
build.
build her more defensively, like as a support champion, but her
Mhm.
base HP and her base defense are just so low. But I guess
Yeah.
that could work. I think I like the freeze. There's not a lot
Yep.
of control in this faction, so I
Exactly.
like that as an option. That's a good call out. All right, so obviously we can't get to everybody in this faction.
Yeah.
So tell us about you know, who you love from this faction in the comments below, and we'll wrap up the video with our personal faction war teams. So
Yes.
while I'm pulling mine up, why don't you go ahead and talk about your faction war team that you use?
I'm just pulling mine up as well.
Okay.
So my faction war teams runs like this: Ruel the Huntsmaster. He's in the lead. Since I spoke about him, I definitely have him built and I'm using him. So Ruel is in the lead because he also brings, by the way, with his lead, he brings 23% in all battles, crit damage, crit
Oh,
rate
cool.
increase. So that's why he's there. Then the next one that I have in that team is V6. Again, another one that people might be underrated. V6 basically brings me the provoke for the Valk waves on the second
Yeah.
one. Then she smacks hard, for the boss and all that. Then it's Lydia, the Death Siren. Lydia, because I want to have that A3 that's the block buffs on the boss part. So when I get the boss part, I have Lydia do the A3 straight up on the boss. I click it, it's not full auto. It can work full auto, but it's longer. If I just click the boss, it's a 1 minute run.
Okay.
Then I have Cold Heart. Again, spoke about Cold Heart. She has to be in there. She does some crazy damage with the A2 with the Heart Seekers. And then Ghostborn. Again, my favorite from this faction has to be in there. It's a
Absolutely.
bit legendary heavy, but it's like this. Royal was a fusion. V6 was free. Lydia was free. Ghostborn I pulled and Cold Heart. So,
Yeah.
it sounds like, legendary heavy, but it's more than half is a free-to-play friendly team. And it's,
Yeah.
like I said, around the minute team.
Nice. Your team's probably faster than mine, but we do share those free-to-play champions in common. I also
Yeah.
have Vizix, Mithrala, and Lydia in my team. I also have Rian the Conjurer in there, who we didn't really get to talk about, but she brings a revive, and my Foley sometimes can die, depending on some
Yeah.
RNG. So I like the Rian in there because she strips the buffs, and also she can revive Foley in case he dies.
Yeah.
Um,
That's true.
there's so many options for this faction. You
It's
can't go
stacked.
wrong. There's so many good
Exactly.
champions.
If you
Um,
don't, if you've been playing for like a year and you haven't beat Faction Wars 21 for Dark Elves, what's going on? Why? Why?
yeah, I think that's a good mention too, is that like when you get Vizix, that's a good time to start pushing for
Yeah.
Dark Elves Faction Wars because she brings everything that you need in order to get through that. So with
True.
whatever champions you have, you can probably throw her in the team with a little bit of effort, clear the rest of the faction.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
All right, great. Well, let's wrap it up here. Any other last words or thoughts about Dark Elves before we hop off the video today?
Just one simple thing. Dark Elves is definitely top 3 factions in the game, in my opinion. This might be a little bit controversial, but in my opinion, top 3 factions in the game. That's what I believe.
I think you're probably right. I mean, if not top 3, definitely up there. So many
Yeah.
great options, and they still love making Dark Elves. We have,
Yep.
one of the most robust factions here. So many
Yeah.
options. Totally agree. And we're going to go head over and record that collab on your channel. So make
Yep.
sure you guys head over and check out Odd One's channel. Check out the video we're going to do over there. Subscribe to him. Let's get him to 8K. And we'll
Thank
see
you,
you
please.
guys in the next video. Thank you so much for being here, my dude. It was an absolute pleasure having you on the channel today.
Thank you for having me. It was about time we did a collab. It was about
Absolutely,
time we did one.
absolutely. All right, we'll see you guys later.